I was having lunch recently with a dear friend here in Ponte Vedra, and we were talking about my grandchildren. Some of you will understand that papas swap grandpapa stories and grandchildren stories every chance they get. I told my friend my fair share of grandchildren stories, and then my friend, who's just shy of 70, was talking about his little grandson. He takes his little grandson to school a couple of days a week. On the ride the other day in the car, they were discussing some important things that papas and grandchildren talk about. Suddenly, the little grandson's inquisitive mind began to work, and so he said, "Papa, who is your daddy, and where does your daddy live?" My friend then tenderly explained to his grandson that his papa had died some time back. The little boy became even more inquisitive and said, "Well, why did your daddy die, Papa?" The papa gave the simplest answer that he could think of that would make sense to his grandson. He said, "Well, my dad had gotten real old." The little boy's mind was processing this information, so he asked him again, "So, Papa, he died because he was old?" "Yes," was the answer that Papa gave back to him. Then came the dynamite question from the grandson, who said, "Papa, if he died because he was old, then why are you still alive?" Ouch! Man, what a question. I almost fell out of my seat when I heard that. You have to love children. They don't worry about political correctness when they have a question. They're not overtly concerned about hurting somebody's feelings. They have a question, they ask it. When they don't understand, they ask. I'm not sure what answer my fellow grandfather gave to that question, but wow, what a question. All of us have questions in life, don't we? Some of them are harder than others. Here's the thing I found out about God. No question bothers God. You'll never stump him. God's not intimidated by any question that I bring to him. Recently, I was talking to a friend who said to me, "I know, Jack, I'm not supposed to say things like this, but I'm not so sure that I believe this stuff about God anymore." I was glad that he could be that honest with me. The truth is that I don't know a single person who's not at some point in their life questioned his faith in God. Again, it's okay to question. I told my friend who had questions about God's mere existence to not worry. The fact that you're not sure you believe doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. My questions don't erase his existence. The wonderful thing about the Christian message is it's not just a feel-good story. It's truth. The Christian faith is a faith that is built upon biblical, historical, and empirical truth. You see, Jesus Christ lived. He died. He was buried, and he rose again. Our hope is not some whimsical hope. It is a hope built on faith. Did you know that there is more evidence of the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ than any other ancient historical person of antiquities? It's Satan who makes us question. You see, if he can play with my doubts and cause me to question and then not attempt to find the answers, he's sidelined me. The Bible says in Hebrews 11:6, it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who comes to him, God, must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. You got to believe that God exists. That seems so simple, but if we're to make it in life, we must believe that God is out there and that he wants to live in here. We must be able to answer questions not just from the doubters, but from ourselves. Peter said in 1 Peter 3:15, and if someone asks about your Christian hope, always be ready to explain it. Too many of us just say we believe without a really rock-solid confidence of our faith. Have you ever taken the time to look seriously at the claims of Christ and prepare yourself to be able to answer questions from skeptics and from your own heart? There's some great resources out there to help you do that. I give you a written copy of this devotion in the email that you received today. And in that copy, I've listed several references. There's a great book by Lee Strobel called The Case for Christ. I put a web link on the written devotion where you can go to it and find it and purchase it. Another great book is by Josh McDowell called More Than a Carpenter. Both of these are simple little paperbacks that are very inexpensive. You can get them at your library. Again, I've put More Than Carpenter, a link on the written devotional that you can get. Then again, yours truly, I have given an entire sermon series that I entitled The First Line of Defense, that gives you the evidence for the existence of God, why Jesus really is the Son of God, why the Bible is trustworthy and reliable, and what the truth is about evolution. You can hear an audio copy of those messages by going to our church's website, crosswaterchurch.net. On the written copy of this devotion, I put a link that will take you to the first message on Does God Exist? And then thereafter, you can see the other messages. These messages are free. I want you to let God build your faith, because with a strong faith, you can overcome the doubts and the questions. Paul said in Ephesians 6:16 that with a strong faith, you can, quote, hold up the shield of faith to stop the fiery arrows of the devil. Sometimes the questions are hard to answer. Ask my fellow grandfather. Yet with God, there is always an answer. We may just not know the answer yet. However, it's there. Today, I want to encourage you to press on. In spite of your fears, press on. In spite of your doubts and questions, press on. God will see you through even your doubts, fears, and discouragement. And know that God is not intimidated by my questions or anybody else's questions. He's able to see you through. And then there is a great prayer, a thought for the day. God is not intimidated by my questions and my fears. And then here's the prayer for today. God, help me not to be intimidated by what I don't know, but to seek out the truth that will eventually set me free. God bless you.